Welcome to yet another episode of Beyond Her Story on Wonder Woman Wednesday. Today we have with us Shalini Mohan.
Hello.
Shalini is a Bangalore-based musician and she has transitioned from being a techie to taking this as her full-time profession. So it's an interesting journey which we'll know about in this conversation. Welcome, Shalini, to Beyond Her Story.
Thank you for having me.
I think we've covered so many transition stories of, software engineers going into different fields.
Yes. I think it's a very well-known saying in India that you first become an engineer and then you figure out what you want to do in life. So that is a staple.
Yeah, I think that's really true. So we've had many women who have transitioned from being a software engineer to other fields. So what's your story, Shalini?
Actually, it's not very... it wasn't like an overnight thing. So for me, it's always been a slow and a gradual process. I've always been a late bloomer because even in school, I peaked in my 11th and 12th grade and I was pretty average before that. So with me, what has happened is I was good with my studies. I got into a good engineering college, but I always had music inside. So it wasn't until a few years back that I knew where the music came from. But I think... So even in school, as young as the 5th grade, 4th grade, I was, in the choir singing with people much taller with boobies, and I was just a small thing, and it was just something in me that I knew was there, and I knew it will always be there, but I didn't know how or what. But I just trusted my gut. So what I did is I just went with the flow, finished my education, did my engineering, and I got into Wipro. Because I was one of the toppers and I was very good in my studies and all. So I started working in Wipro, and in Wipro, one of the best things about techie companies is that you have free internet access.
Yes, true.
So YouTube was a whole new world of musical information for me. I mean, I did my job also. My managers and all were very kind and understanding. And in Wipro, there was actually a music band called No Clue with a K.
Okay.
Now that I think about it, yeah. And I auditioned for the band as one of the backing vocalists, singers. And during one of the auditions, I think when we were going to perform for the Wipro audience, the guitarist had to go to the US. So the other guy picked up the guitar. He dumped this bass on me. And I hadn't even picked up a guitar before that because I just had played a bit of piano in school.
Okay.
So that is where I started actually. So then it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like when you eat your favorite food for the first time, how it felt, like your whole face goes. So when I heard that sound, it filled a lot of gaps because I knew that was always a sound I would always hear in a song, but I didn't know where it came from. But now that I knew, it was just like, a soulmate kind of a thing. So after that, I used the internet to study stuff online, and I did certain certifications from ABRSM and London College of Music. And then, and then while I was working in Wipro, then I moved to SAP. And while I was working and coding, I was also doing music. So I was making contacts and I was traveling. I was doing small shows and making a small name. And I figured after a while, I think around 2012 or so, I took the leap to being a full-time musician.
Okay, you quit your job.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, Shalini. So from that point of time, when you went full-fledged into the music and full-time into it.
Yeah.
So when you say a full-time musician or a bassist, what is the kind of work that you do? If you can explain a bit.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question because usually I'm asked about breaking stereotypes and all, but nobody asks about what it means to be a full-time professional musician, especially in a country like India, and if it is not traditional music.
Yeah.
For me, the way I saw it, I think one thing that most musicians don't do here is treat their occupation like a job.
Correct. Yeah.
And even with people who are starting off, I want to tell them that there is a big difference between enjoying music while you're listening to it, while you're doing other things, and actually working as a musician. So what I do as a professional musician, I do recordings, I do live performances, and on the occasion, I do teach as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and when I say live performances and recordings, it means that I need to be adept in almost all styles of music. So it's very unlike what our movies put it across. So it's not like you meet a group of like-minded people and you form a band, and then a label, makes you a millionaire overnight, or even if it takes a while. It's very rarely the case that a band. There are a handful of bands I know in the country that have made an impact and who have been able to carry it off as a profession full time, being the only band and being the only thing that they do. But most of the professional musicians I know are like consultants. So we do have our own projects. For example, I have a corporate band called Ginny and the Bottle. So we do all corporate shows and private events. And I also play with an Afro hip hop band with some amazing people from the Ivory Coast and all that. But I need to be able to pay my bills even if these two bands don't work, which means I need to be able to do it on my own without depending on other people. And that's what being a professional musician mostly entails, or being an artist, if you ask me. So the best armor is content, I guess. So equip yourself with everything you can read, knowledge, practice, so that you will be able to do whatever is required whenever as a musician. And it's not just about playing the bass, it's about understanding how production works, how recordings work, how you have to perform in your live, how you perform when you're sitting in a studio with people. It's a very different aspect. So I'd say being a professional musician is not being a rock star and being drunk behind backstage and before the show and after the show, being there with women and men and all. But it can be, but it is a very, very, very small percentage of what it takes to be a professional musician.
Yeah, I think we've seen many people who get into music, but they don't do it full time in terms of
absolutely,
they have their, morning jobs and
I did as well, for a while before I could quit. And I think it's just your calling.
Correct. Shalini, let's talk about live performance for a bit, because we as audience just see the final performance on stage, but behind the stage, I'm sure there's a lot of effort which goes, practice which goes, and it is different when you're performing live. At least that much I think we as audience understand. But what do you see as a difference between a live performance and a recorded version, and which do you prefer?
It's like both parts of my job I love. They're totally different types of working.
Correct.
For me, live, it's the reason I want to do music. So it's a very spiritual thing for me. Like, it's actually the opposite. You would think that a musician who's on stage is actually performing for so many people, right? Because some of the audiences go up to about 20,000, 25,000 people, and you think you're giving everything to the people but for me, it's the opposite. When I'm on stage, I in fact don't wear footwear, no matter what I'm wearing, because I like feeling the vibrations of the stage. So for me, it's a very personal feeling when I'm on stage, and no matter how I might appear or might be doing on stage, I'm actually only... I don't care who's in front of me, actually. So it's the stage, it's the musicians I'm interacting with, and that is all. But when I'm in a recording, I'm actually giving everything to everyone. So, and it's like a movie and a play. In a recording, you're more comfortable. You can have 5 takes, 10 takes. You can have coffee, chill. But when you're live, you just get that one opportunity, right? One chance to get it right. So the thrill is totally different. It's both of them are thrilling, but it's different aspects of my personality. Some days I just want to convert food into poop. That's all I want to do. And the other days I want to conquer the world like it's something else. So that's live and studio for me.
Even when you're talking about it, I'm feeling that excitement. Because I think you're totally passionate about it, and that comes across when you're speaking about it.
I've had many people tell, like, I picked up the bass when I was 24 or 25, and it's not a very obvious instrument. It's not like a guitar or a piano where you can say, see what I can do, and your family's like, oh my God. So for me, it was always a constant. Music was always a constant. It took me a while to figure out what was driving me, and when I found it, and since I started quite late, because my contemporaries are people who would have started playing when they were 5 or 6 with all the training stuff. So I've always been trying to make up for lost time, so that bring it on. So that's always been there. It's always going to be there. So I could be 65 and my boobies might be near my knees, but if I'm able to, I will still be recording and performing music.
I think it's like you found your colleague.
Yes, yeah.
So, when I think you've done performances with a lot of stalwarts as well.
Oh, yeah.
A R Rahman.
Yeah, I've been very lucky that way. So I started off with the bands, and like I mentioned, I even do play with my bands now, but I've been lucky in terms of the people I've been able to play with, like Rahman sir, Ranjit Barrett. Then even I've recorded an album with Sean Rolden and Sanjay Subrahmanyam in Chennai. I get to go to Chennai a lot, which I love the place. It's like my second home.
Okay.
And Arjun Janya sir, and I'm hoping to perform with Vijay Prakash. I have a show with Aruna Sairam. So it's I've been very fortunate along the years. And I have started getting in touch with my roots. Sometime last year, something just told me to learn how to read and write Tamil. It's my mother tongue basically, and I do know how to read and write now. But along the way, a lot of things happened. I started working more in Tamil projects. I started learning more about the culture, like where I came from. So that part has always been missing. Mm-hmm. So a lot of pieces started coming together. I've been lucky to perform with people like as great as these Vasundhara Das and so many of them, and everyone I've interacted with, I have taken something, learning, and it's amazing.
It's a different experience.
Yeah, and I think entertainment is a field where you will meet every kind of people, like amazing people who've introspected, they are evolved, and then you meet people who are mushrooms also, who are absolutely why just occupying space, that's it. But you meet everyone, and I think that's amazing. Yeah.
Shalini, you're also the granddaughter of Carnatic flautist A R Mahalingam. So how does it feel? Has it had any influence on you?
Oh yeah, I wasn't aware of his greatness for a while, a long time. I knew this person was there and nothing much was spoken about at home. But I think about 8 or 9 years back, I started researching more about him because I started getting more curious because I was becoming a full-time musician, right? I wanted to know more about where all this came from. And as far as I could hear, the rest of my family were tone deaf. So I like, hello, kahan se? So my grand uncle, actually, my grandfather's brother, he's a legendary flautist. So if you say he's fondly known as Mali. So if you speak to anyone in the Carnatic world, they would be flabbergasted. So I try not to mention him too much. Like I'm getting into the Carnatic aspect of music now for the last couple of years, Carnatic and Hindustani. But once I found out what a legend he was and the impact he's had on Carnatic music, in fact, to the point of physically altering how a flute is, introducing an eighth hole, and before Mali came about, the flute, from what I have read and understood, it used to be very melodic, the Hindustani, but he brought in the whole percussive way of playing the flute. So if you see the main line of teaching in Carnatic flute today is from Mali. So once I found out that I am related to him, so it was like, whoop on my ass for a little bit because I have to justify it a little bit, right? So I can't just be like happy and hey, I love music, this man was something and I'm related to him. And that's quite something.
Yeah. I think that has been at least an inspiration.
Oh, big time. Big time. It changed a lot. The way I thought about my work, it changed a lot after I figured out who he was, what he was, and everything.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Shalini, that's really good to hear. I mean, your experience, your lineage in terms of, at least, yeah. So what's next for Shalini?
So my plan, I used to plan a lot, Sneha, but life is very, very, very clever and it just wants to make it interesting for you. So apart from the fact that I have financially, I need to feel secure because I am on my own. So that is something I plan about. But if you ask me in terms of my career, since I started quite late, I still intend to do this for quite a long time. So I want to play with some of the top musicians in the country. I want to learn from them. I want to become better at what I currently do. I want to learn new styles of music. I want to record with some amazing people. And I just want to do this for the next few years and just make sure that I'm amazing.
Which I'm sure you already are. You want to take it the next step.
No, I just want to be better every day. Cliched, I know, but I just want to be amazing. I want to be really good at what I do, and I want to work with people who are really good at what they do and who I can get some things from and contribute as well. And I want to be amazing, dudes. That's it. I play a bit of piano. This is something I learned by myself in school by bunking a few classes. And I had a very nice teacher called Mrs. Sonalini Ramesh. She caught me bunking the classes a couple of times, but then chose to keep quiet because she knew I was going to be amazing.
That's really nice.
So piano, I play the trumpet and of course the bass. And once I picked up the bass, I tried playing the guitar, the 6-string. So I play that as well, but it's not my primary instrument. But I came back because this was my calling, this instrument. So just a few instruments here and there. And I sing a bit, but I'm primarily a bass player.
Yeah. So do you sing even like when you're performing?
Yeah. So, I mean, for people who are musicians might know, the bass is an amazing harmony instrument. So one of the things I love doing is I love providing harmonies for people who are singing and making their voice better. It sounds amazing. So that's one thing I love doing. And yeah, I do sing alone with my band Ginny and the Bottle. We perform private events and so on. So yeah.
So this has been a lively conversation, Shalini. I loved every bit of it.
Same here. I had a great time.
Yeah, because for people like me who are music listeners, that seems like a different world when you think about it.
Yeah.
But the way you spoke about it, at least I could imagine a lot of things on what goes on behind the scenes and what are the things that maybe you have internally when you do such things. So it's been an awesome conversation.
Thank you.
And what we'll do is we'll leave the link to your Instagram handle, your website in the description. I'm sure there will be a lot of people who may want to reach out to you,
Please do. I would love to
watch your videos.
Communicate.
As well.
Yeah. Please watch. I could use all the views and all the followers, and it'll be an amazing trip for all of us.
So thank you so much, Shalini.
Thanks, Neha.
Yeah.